Good evening, everybody. Welcome to day 6 of Salesforce Experience Cloud class. So today we're going to continue with the user creation and authentication. And then we'll go into roles, sharing, and visibility. So yesterday we saw how we can add external users to our experience sites, and we also saw how they are able to log in to the experience cloud site. So we're going to begin with how we can add internal users or employees to our experience cloud site. So what we're going to do today to create an internal user, verify the user's email address if necessary. Then we'll add the user's profile to the member section of the experience site. And then we'll log into the experience site using the employees login button, which is located on the login page, using the employee's username and password. So the last sentence is just for you to remember that an internal user does not require an external Experience Cloud license to be able to gain access to the site. So let us go to the org and launch our org. Switch to Lightning Experience. Okay, I'll go to users here and then users. And here you can see, just to reiterate, you can see the users we created yesterday. So we created Emma Davis, and Emma has the Customer Community Plus license, and Ashley has a Customer Community license. Jack has a Partner Community license. Arthur has a Customer Community Plus license. And then this was for the self-registration, for users who self-registered, which Austin did. And then, of course, this is just the second user who has a Customer Community license. So for the internal user, I'm going to go ahead and create a new user. I need to verify. Okay. So before I do that, I want to check, because I want to allocate the standard Salesforce license to this user. So I want to confirm that that license is available. So I go to company settings, company information. Then here is where I see all the user licenses. So I expand, and then I'm looking for I think this is the one. Salesforce platform. Okay, well, we have, this hasn't been used, and then for the Salesforce one, we still have one license remaining, one more remaining license, so that should serve. So let's go back to our users, and then new user. And this new user, I want the user's name to be Avery. Simed. I'm going to use my email address. And then username. Then for the license, I will choose Salesforce and then Salesforce standard user. Okay, and check these. And then I want this user to receive an email as soon as this account is created. So I'll leave this checked. So save. And the user is active. So we'll go to our email and we can see that the email has arrived. So here, so this is like a welcome email for the user to set up their password. So I go ahead and I'll open this in incognito. And yes, I want to reset the password. So over here, I enter the password and then a security question. Change password. So the user has been created. And remember that this is an employee account, which has a member-based license. So I'm going to close this. So the next thing to do would be to add this user to our experience site. So we go to setup, go to digital experiences, all sites. So we'll use a customer service website, not the partner one. And then we go to administration, members, and under available profiles. So the internal one is selected, and that's what we want. So I'll go ahead and look for the standard user profile and add that, and then save. So now the user has been added to the site. So let's attempt to log in as this user. So let's find our site URL. I like going to the builder for that. Settings, and then open this in incognito. So there was something I didn't say yesterday that I want to point out. So while I open the site in incognito, it goes straight to the login page. And that is because the site is not public. But if the site is public, you can use the login button on the page. I'll show you that after we're done with this login step. So, all right. So on this login page, this page is for the external users to log in. For an employee, then you have to use this link at the bottom here where it says, "Are you an employee? Log in here." So I click on that. And then I log in as Avery. Username, password, and then login. So now Avery has logged into the site. So that's how an internal user can log in. Okay, I'll close this. All right, so back to what I was talking about before. Okay, I can see Robert's hand is up.
Yes, maybe I missed it, but what would be the purpose of having an internal user to have access to the Experience Cloud when they can log in and do whatever they need to do? Did I miss that part?
So when you say they can log in,
Well,
what do
yeah,
you
so
mean?
they can log into Salesforce. So what's the purpose of them logging into the site?
Okay, all right. So sometimes the internal user can also be like a website manager. Do you remember the slide from the first day where there's like a site manager, site builder, site admin? So those are roles for the internal user, not the external user. So to manage the site, that's one. Two would be to also access data. So in a case where, well, usually on the partner websites, um, you'd have to collaborate with the sales team or the sales agents in the organization. So the sales agents in the organization would collaborate with the partners. So that's another scenario.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so moving ahead. So just to show you what happens when this is checked off as public. So if I check this button off and publish, and then attempt to log in. So now it's public. So the site is going to display. So the user that wants to log in would use the login button here. So when they click on login, it takes them to that same login page where we were. All right. Okay, so let's go back to the slides. All right, so I want us to take a look at the administration section of the workspaces to look at the login and the registration section. So first of all, I would like us to brand or rebrand the login page. And then we'll go into these details. So let's do the first step, which is to brand the login page. So back to our site. We go back here, and this is the login and registration. So here, this first section is where you can make those changes. Now, we've been to this page before when we set up the self registration, but let's start from the top. So you can choose a logo. Let me open the site so we can be looking at it. Okay, so currently this is the logo that we have there. So we can change that. And we do that by, so there are two options. You can use a file or you can use a URL, but we'll use a file. So I'm going to choose this PNG version of the Black Forest logo. And then you can choose the color, the background type, the color of the background. Okay, first of all, the type, which can be color or image URL, and then the background. You can choose a color, then the login button color. So what I found was that the settings in the builder, in the branding set, in this area, actually overrides what you have here. Because if you look at the login button, it's actually red, but this is a different color. So that overrides what you have here. All right, so let's save and see what's happening to that logo. The image exceeds the file size limit of 10 KB. Okay. All right, let's resize that. So I normally use this application. It's called paint.net, and that's what I use for my graphics. You can also use other ones like Adobe Photoshop. Yeah. All right, so that's the file. Let me resize it, reduce that to 20%. All right, and do save as. Let's try again. And then save. Another problem. Okay. Image dimension exceeds the maximum of 250. 250. All right.
You have to change it to pixels and make the pixels 125, 125.
The height, right?
It's 125 for both. Like on the image, if you go back, it shows the image. I see on the sides 125 to 250. I mean.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, we can do that. Okay, so let's do 250 by 125. Okay, let's try that. And save. All right, that works. Okay, so let me refresh. And there we have our logo. So another thing we can change is the background. And we do that from inside the builder. So when we go to themes, when we go to theme, we can see that in colors, there's a setting for login pages. And right now the background color is this color. I can change it to something like that. And then card background color and text color. Let's make the text color white. All right, then in the images, there is also a setting for the login pages. So this is what we're seeing. So that's like an image. So you can decide if you don't want to use an image, you can decide to remove this. And when you remove that, then the color you put here kicks in. Let's see that. Refresh. And there you have it. So that's how to brand your login page. And of course, this button, the forgot your password button, is a button that the user can use to reset their password. Okay. So the next item is the login discovery. So login discovery is an easy, secure, and convenient way for users to log in. It is used to allow users log into the experience site using a phone number or email address, something other than their username and their password. Instead of logging in with a password, a verification code is sent to their email or mobile device. The verification code confirms their identity and grants them access. To set this up, the user must enable two-factor authentication by registering their mobile device or email address for this feature to be active. Okay, so let's go to our settings page. So this is where you set that up. Hold on. Yes, it's here. So yeah, that's where you set it up. And so before that, you'd have to actually enable two-factor authentication for it to work. So yeah. Then the next option here is the logout page URL. So this is when you use a Visualforce page as your logout page. So that's the page that the user will see after they've logged out of your site. Then for the password pages, change how passwords are handled by selecting custom pages. So just like I've described before, when you choose out of all these options of page types, when you choose the Experience Builder page, it means you're choosing a page from your site, which comes with the template. So if we go to the pages section and look for that, we should be able to find this page, which is called Forgot Password. And that's it right here. So as well, you can customize, you can change the wordings, change the text color, of course, because this is not too good. You can change that to white. Same thing here. Okay, not sure why that's not working, but I'm not going to spend too much time on it. All right, so yeah, you can, since you're in your builder, you can customize and then publish, and that would update what the user would see. Okay, moving ahead. So the registration page, so we've talked about this before. And then for the headless identity configuration, it helps you to separate back-end authentication processes from front-end identity experiences. So that's why you set that up. And in the slide, I have a link here where you can read more about headless identity APIs. All right, so I would like us to continue to look at some of the other tabs here. So like the emails, we've been here before when I explained how to use the templates, but I would like us to start from the top. So over here in the sender section, you can change the name that the email is coming from. So we can change it to black phos ink. And what we had before, if you go to my email address, you would find that the emails come from exactly the same text that I used there. And then from email address is my original email address. And if you go to the email, you can see that it actually also does come from that. You can see that right here. So you can change this to any other email address, but when you change it, you'd have to verify that email address before it starts working. Then for the chatter email branding, that's for chatter emails. So here is where you upload your logo and then add a footer text for the email. And remember that the chatter is the feature that we use in the peer-to-peer or forum sites. Then for the email templates, I did show you that you can click on the lookup button here, and then you can do a search or you select from the pre-built templates. At the same time, you can actually build it yourself. You can build new templates yourself. So let's just go back to the org for me to show you how that can be done. And if we type email templates, so let's do Lightning. Of course, the Lightning doesn't have any email templates because they're all built in Classic. So here is where you find all the templates. And you can see the ones that have the experience client titles, they're all here. So let me open one of them. Let me open the welcome email. And that's what you see. That was what we found yesterday in the other emails. I can just show you. So something like this. That's exactly what you find. Yeah. Okay, so you can customize it the way you want. You can use the merge fields, available merge fields to capture the data that you want to add to the email. But unfortunately, this is in plain text, so you can't really do any HTML or add much into it. But you can definitely do that with the Lightning email templates when you have that enabled. Okay, so back to our administration. Let's look at the preferences. So here you get to choose or make more selections or change your settings. In the general section, you have show nicknames, and then you can hover over the I to give you more information about what each one is all about. So this one enables you to show nicknames. That's the user's nicknames. Enable direct messages, allow discussion threads. These are obviously for the chatter. Let guest users see other members of the site. Use custom visual force error pages. Show all settings in workspaces. Then under the experience management, allow members to flag content. That's obviously for our moderation. Then allow members to upvote and downvote, and enable setup and display of reputation levels. That's for gamification. Same thing. This one is also for gamification. Then this is for knowledge articles, and then so forth. So under record ownership, you get to specify a user as a default owner of records created by guest users. The default owner has access to all new records that the guest users create. So right now, the default owner is myself as the administrator. Then in the files section, you get to specify the maximum file size in megabytes that you can upload to the site. And you also get to specify the types of files that they can be. Okay, so I want us to look at members as well, which we're very familiar with. So we already know what this does. This is how you add members to your site using their profiles, adding members to your site using permission sets. And then for site role, wants to use custom labels instead of employee, customer, or partner. Select custom to replace the standard labels. If you don't want to use one or more, just leave the fields empty. So when you click on custom, that's how you get to choose if you don't want to use any of these. So you update it accordingly. Okay, so let's move ahead. This is what I just went through with you. And then I want to talk about external accounts, and the external accounts would be person accounts and business accounts. So yesterday when we were in login and registration, that was it, right? Yes, we were here and we were trying to set this up. We got this message. And it says if you've enabled person accounts, leave the account field empty. So this is the person accounts that I'm about to describe to you. So what is a person account? So a person account is a type of account that is for customers, and it combines account and contact fields into one single record. The created account is viewed through Accounts tab. Then for the business account, it's created when an account is enabled as partner and it stores information about companies. The business account is also viewed through the Accounts tab. So Salesforce editions, the personal account is available in the professional, enterprise, performance, unlimited, and developer editions, while the business account is available in all. So to enable person accounts, you do that through setup person accounts. While for business accounts, as soon as you create a new account record, a business account is created. For the licenses, so you are able to use the custom community license and person accounts, customer community plus license and person accounts. While at the business account, you can use a customer community plus license and the partner community license. In terms of lead conversion, with a person account, you can convert a lead into an account and opportunity. While with a business account, you can convert a lead into accounts, contacts, and opportunity. And this is an account, obviously, because it merges the account and contact fields into one. So the limitations with the person account, it cannot be disabled. So once you enable it, you can't disable it. You can't reverse it. Then the person account uses more storage space than the business account. And this is because it merges an account field. It merges the account and contact field into one record. So it's like merging two records into one. The implication is that instead of just having a contact record, it creates an account record and merges it. So that means you're using more account records than you should. Then person account cannot be included in account hierarchies, contact hierarchies, or have direct relationships with other accounts or contacts. Robert, did you have a question?
Yes, please. What is the difference between a person account and a contact account? A person account and a contact record.
A person account and a
So,
contact record.
so a person account record and a contact record. What would be the
Person.
difference between the two?
So
So, would an org have a person account and a contact record? Would they be the same person?
So once you enable person accounts, any other accounts that you create subsequently would become a person account. And because it merges it, it's no longer a contact account. It becomes like an account.
So once you enable person's account, the contact account object disappears?
No. It doesn't disappear. So any subsequent user that you create after that would no longer be like an account, a contact. It will now be merged as an account.
So, okay, so let's say you have a brand new org and you enable a person's account right away. You will never have a contact record. It'll always be a person account record. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like you to note that this usually applies to when you're creating an external user. Does that make it clear?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So we're going into our next major topic, which is roles, sharing, and visibility. So we're going to be handling roles, our org-wide defaults, and then external org-wide defaults. So I want to start with a recap on roles and org-wide defaults. So roles are used to enable data visibility and open up access to records. So what does that mean? It means that in a role structure, like you can see on the screen, so we have the CEO at the top, and then we have VPs reporting to the CEO, and then we have managers reporting to the VP. All data or records that belong to a manager would be visible to the VP. And all data owned by the VP and the managers under them would be visible to the CEO. So that's how data access works in a role hierarchy like this. So going to the next, which is the OWD. So the organization-wide defaults sets the baseline record access for internal users and should be set to the strictest level of access. So the OWD, think of it as the least amount of access that your organization is allowing your users. And these are implemented on the objects in your org. So in this diagram over here, it's showing you the org-wide defaults. That's the base level as access. So that's the minimum amount of access. And like it says here, the strictest level of access that you can grant to all your users. When you have this strict level of access, then you can use these other methods to open up access to data depending on who needs it. So the next step after OWD is a role hierarchy, and after that is a sharing rule and the manual sharing. There's this link here. I would like us to look at it together. It's by Salesforce Ben, and he explained this concept really, really well. So I just want us to go through it together. I want you to, I know you've done this in your admin class, but I just want us to go through it again. Personally, it wasn't a very easy topic for me to understand, so I'd like just to go through it again for you to understand it even better. So the title says, Learn Salesforce Roles and Profiles in 5 minutes. Okay, so profiles, roles, and permission sets work together to determine what Salesforce users can see and do. And then he goes ahead here to say that the term that he uses to remember this is that roles see and profiles do. So let me just go into the org just to show you. So these are our profiles, and this is our roles. So again, profiles do, and then roles see. Let's click on that. So this will show us all the roles we have in the org. Okay. All right. So what is Salesforce profile? Profile controls what users can do in your Salesforce org. This can be referred to as creed, which if you break it down, it means create, read, edit, and delete. So let's open a profile. Take a look at that. Let's open this. Okay, I want to change this again. I'll probably have to come back and switch that. Okay, back. All right, so this is what your profile looks like. And here you have different sections. So this is where you set your page layout, field level security. So you control what happens to the fields or how this profile will have access to the fields in these objects. So these are all the objects that are listed here. Then the tab settings. So this is where you set if the tabs are visible to this profile. Then record types, administrative permissions, general user permissions, and then standard object permissions. So this is where you will see the create, the create, the read, the edit, and the delete. And it has to do with your object permissions. So let's go back to the article. You may want some users in your org to read and edit leads, but not delete them. Creed enables you to mix and match what a specific user can do with each object. Okay, so if we go down, he shows us the same thing that we just looked at in this image. And then he also describes just exactly what I just showed you, the field level security, page layouts, record types, and then access to apps. So each Salesforce user in your org has a profile. Profiles are designed to group users into functions. So based on what they can do, the most important profile in the org is the system administrator. Users in this profile have absolute access to do anything. In addition to creed, they will have view all and modify all selected for each object. We can take a look at that. Let's go back to profile and open up the system administrator profile. Open that in a new tab. All right, so let's go down to the standard object permissions. So you can see what he's saying. So as the system administrator, it has like view all and modify all permissions. All right, so they will also have ultimate permissions, namely modify all data, customize application that you would not want to give to any other users. All right, I think this would be in the bottom somewhere. Long tab, okay. Okay, that's it right here. So administrative permissions. Okay, so moving on. So this is where he talks about roles and role hierarchy. So let's switch to thinking about roles. Which control what users can see in your org? Roles are designed to increase data visibility, to open up access to Salesforce records. So profiles is for what you can do, either create, read, edit, or delete. But with roles, it controls what you can see, what records you can see. You will have a baseline visibility set for each object in your org, known as the org-wide default. So let's take a look at our org-wide default. So we go to sharing settings. So this is where we have our organization-wide default. Okay. Examples of this could be opportunities are set to private, which means that users can only see the opportunities they own. So remember what I said about the CEO and then the VP and the managers. So in that structure, the people below, the people on top can see what those below own. Then accounts are set to public read write so that any user can help to update account information. All right, so that's what the OWD looks like, which we can also see here. Over here, we have all our objects listed. Then on this column, we have the default internal access. Here we have the default external access. You should know that there are defaults that are already set. Okay, he's not going into more details about that, but he wants us to remember a golden rule. And the golden rule is that the org-wide default should be set to the most restrictive level. Salesforce permissions work by opening up access, not by locking them down. So you start with the strictest in mind. And so this diagram illustrates what he's talking about. And it also, it's very similar to the one I shared in the slides. It's very similar to this. So the least access is what you specify in your OWD. So the OWD has least access followed by the role hierarchy and then the sharing rules. And it goes that way to increase data visibility. So you open up access. So when you set the least certain record access here, and you want to grant a user more access, or you want them to have access to more records, then you use the whole row hierarchy. Then after the row hierarchy, you can use the sharing rules to open up even more access. There are two ways to increase data visibility through roles, and they are the row hierarchy and the sharing rules. So looking at profiles and roles side by side, he says there's some confusion when Salesforce org is using both profiles and roles. They are designed to be used together. It's not an either or decision. It may help to think in different shapes. Profiles are like circles, whereas roles are arranged into a hierarchy. Then profiles are like circles of users that share the same function. So what they can do. So users are grouped based on what they can do. So you can see here, all the support people are grouped in one profile, marketing team in one profile, system admin has his own profile, and then the sales team has their own profile. So based on what they can do. And then the roles are how users relate to each other in a hierarchy. Example, the VP of sales is above the sales managers in this role hierarchy. Okay, then notes. Sharing rules are used to extend the role hierarchy. So they are not they're not restricted to the strict top-down sharing as laid out in the hierarchy. In other words, sharing rules can enable you to open up record visibility horizontally, this way, horizontally across the hierarchy. So what that means is we've talked about the profiles, we've talked about the OWD, and we've talked about the role hierarchy in terms of using it to open up access. Now, if you want this manager to gain access to the record of this manager, that's where you use sharing rules. And that's what it means by it goes horizontally. It enables access horizontally. Okay. What's the difference between a role and a profile? So I think this is just like a summary. The profile determines what you can do. The role determines what you can see, which pertains to record visibility. It's required for each user. Yes, you require a profile, but role is optional. Image of the shape, circles, hierarchy. So circles and hierarchy. Then controls access to. So the profiles control access to objects, field level security, page layouts, record types, apps, and tabs. While the role, which controls record visibility, controls access to records and folders. And then about permission sets, well, it's just going to be like an addition. So I'll read just the first part of it. I won't go into all that. Once you have got the grips with profiles and roles, you have mastered the core Salesforce admin concepts that will serve you well. What about permission sets? Not another Salesforce data access concept. Fear not, I'll explain. Okay. So permission sets could be considered add-ons for profiles. They offer flexibility in how you add certain permissions. Permissions, by permissions, they mean these all over again, to certain users, almost like you are tagging an individual user. In order to grant a very specific ability to a user, you obviously don't want to create a whole new profile just for that one difference between their abilities and the rest of their teams. So just like he described, permission set is like an add-on onto a profile. So it's like, okay, you want to grant this person like a granular access, then you create a permission set and assign it to that user or to a group of users. And it's a feature or an ability that you don't want to give the whole profile. So that's when you use a permission set. All right. So let's go back to our slide. Does anybody have any question about this? Any questions, confusions? Hi, Robert.
Not a question, just a comment. This is the best explanation I've seen of the security in a very long time. Thank you.
You're
This
welcome.
is very easy to understand.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, I can see another hand raised, but not on a person. Okay, let's go ahead. All right, so what I described here is record access for internal users, which I showed you here. So in this column where it says default internal access, this is for internal users. And then the default external access is for the external users. And I don't know if you noticed, but most of them are private. On the external users access. So what this means is that this would apply to the external users and this would apply to the internal users. Slide. All right, so to describe the external OWD, the external OWD is the first line of defense when giving external users access to data. It sets the baseline record access for external users. So in this diagram, Salesforce has placed the external OWDs between the internal OWD and the role hierarchy. I tell you, it's a bit confusing because in my next sentence, you would ask, why isn't this placed before the internal OWDs? Yeah, that's a bit confusing, but I guess you know their reasons. Let me continue. So external OWD cannot be more permissive than the internal OWD. So I don't know if you see where my comment's coming in. So if it's not more permissive, why is it here? Should be here. All right. The external users can always have less or the same access as internal users. So what this is saying is that when you're on here and you want to set the permissions for the internal and the external users, the external user cannot have access that is above what the internal user has. So let me give you an example. Let's say we set the lead object to read, to public read only, and then we attempt to set the external access to something that is higher than this, read, right? And then save. It's giving me an error. And it says the default external access must be more restrictive or equal to the default internal access. Yep, so that's how it works. The external OWD works on all license types. So it can work on the customer community, customer community plus, and the partner community licenses. The external OWD do not extend to guest users. When an OWD is set to private, the external can only see records that they own. Okay, so let's put this into practice. So what I'm going to attempt to do is to have is to set the external OWD for an external user and then for an internal user on an object. Now let's go to the org. I'm going to close these. Oh, looks like I closed our site.
That explanation that you had there for the external not being higher than the internal is probably the reason why the external is afterwards, because the internal has to be set first in order to determine what you can
What
set
the
the external
external
to.
will be. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense. Thank you. Okay, so all right. So we have we have a user that we created today, and that's I'll navigate to that page. So we created Avery. We created Avery today, and Avery is an internal user. And we have a password for Avery. Then we're going to choose an external user. Let's choose Emma. Okay, I guess we can choose Emma. All right, so let's use Avery and Emma. And I'm just trying to add them to my notes. All right, so on the site, I want to create an object page for the leads object. So to do that, I go to my navigation bar, navigation menu, edit, add new menu item. Let's try that with the leads objects. Salesforce object leads. And then I can choose a default view. I can say, let's leave it at default. Then publicly available. Save. And I want to drag that to the top. Save. Publish. Okay, let's go to our sites in incognito. And then I'm going to try and log in as Avery, who's the internal user. But before that, let's take a look at what the OWD is. Let me refresh this. Okay, and so we can see that for the leads object, which is what we just added on the site, the internal user has public read write transfer access. Okay, let's leave it at that. And then for the external user, it's private. So that means the external user shouldn't see the leads object. Okay, so let's log in as every internal user who is an employee. So Avery can see the option on the menu. She can open it. She can change the list view. And then she can see the records. Avery can also open the record. And can Avery edit? Let's see. Relations Limited. No, that's the title. Okay, and save. So it works. So that means that it's working. So Avery could read and write. the leads object record. Okay, so let's log out. Let's log Avery out, and then let me try this. Okay, no, wrong URL. Let's go back here. Okay, so we're going to log in as Emma, who is an external user. Emma Davis, and then password. Okay, that's failing. Let me check for another user. Let's try Andy. Did I create Andy yesterday? Trying to remember who's the first person I created. Was it Ashley or Andy? Let's try Andy. And I want to confirm what his username is. Okay. Let me just confirm from the site that all those users are there. Not sure it's not working. Yes. Let's try that again. Okay. Hold on. That's my email address. Let's reset the password for Andy. Oops. Okay, hold on. Okay, she got an email. We can't reset your passport because your account is temporarily locked due to too many. Oh no, we have to wait 15 minutes. Okay, let me pick another user.
At least you know it works.
Indeed, yeah. Um, Ashley. Let's try Ashley. Set to our site, incognito. Login. All right, let me just confirm again that Ashley has my email address. Yes. Okay, login. Yay, it's working. Okay, so Ashley is one of the external users that we created yesterday. And we can see that Ashley doesn't have the leads menu item on her navigation bar. So Let's go and make some changes. So we're going to the sharing, to the OWD, and then edit. Let's give the external users right to read only and save. Okay, let's go back here and refresh. Let me log out and log back in. Okay, do I need to do something else like publish? I don't think so. Yeah, okay, well. Okay, why are you not seeing this? So yes, public read only should be there. Let's try again. Build a leads is there. Okay, so let's open that again. Okay, log in. No, it's still not showing. All right, let's give it more access and see if that will change. So let's change it to public read write. Save. I'm not sure if it's delayed or anything. I'm not sure if it's a delay that it's causing it not to appear at all on there. Yeah, okay. Well, let's go to the next slide and then we'll come back and check. Yep. Okay. All right. So the org by default, the external org by default for the guest user. The security best practice is to enable the secure guest user record access in setup sharing settings. Enabling this setting ensures that the data in Salesforce is secure from the guest user. The guest user's OWD are private for all objects and cannot be changed. To share records with guest users, use sharing rules. All right, so what this is saying is that you need to keep your data as secure as possible when it comes to the guest users. So you even need to make it even more restrictive than it is for the external users who have a license to log in. And then over here, it says that the OWD, so the OWD, like we have seen, is set for private, is set as private for all objects when it comes to the guest users, and it can't be changed. So the way we were changing the OWDs for the internal and external users, you can't do that for the guest user. Then if you want to open up access for a guest user, you can't use the role hierarchy. You have to go straight and use sharing rules to do that. But then for this to work, you need to set it in the org. So let's go and take a look at that. So in sharing settings, you have to look for let me do a search. Secure. Oh, okay, that's the one. That's it right here. So let's go to edit. And when you go to edit, you will see it right at the bottom here. All right. It's very interesting that it's grayed out and selected, because when I looked at it, it wasn't selected, but okay, well, it was a different org anyway. And it really did puzzle me why it wasn't selected. Okay, all right. So it's selected here and it's grayed out. So that means it can't be changed. So the OWD for the guest users are all set to private. Out of curiosity, let me check our test org. Sharing settings. Okay, same. All right, it's good to know. Okay, so let's go back and check on our external user. I have to log in again. Let me go out and come back in. Builder. So open that in incognito. Login as all right. It's still not displaying. Does anybody have any ideas what we can do? Any ideas what we can do? And that's for Ashley James.
Does it have anything to do with the guest user checkbox you've got on there at all?
In the sharing settings, this
No,
one.
in the builder
Um,
at the top there, public access guest. Does it have any? But you need that in order for the guest to log in, right?
sorry?
Do you need that checked off in order for the guest to actually even log in, right? I was wondering if that being checked off is what's not allowing the login, the
Okay.
external user to see it. Just a guess. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we can try. Let's try. I'm going to log out and log back in. Nope, nope, that's not it. I'm thinking about the profile now. So Ashley belongs to customer community Black Force profile. So let's open that. And let's look for the leads objects. So yeah, that's where we are. And then let's look for the leads. I can do a search. Objects. Okay, yes, that's where I want us to be. Then let's look for leads or lead. Okay, that's interesting. There's no lead here. Interesting. Oh, okay. That's probably why. Oh, okay. Okay. So that's probably why. So that means that the leads object is not available to the external user.
So it's only person accounts and business accounts. So accounts, contacts.
I don't know about the accounts though, but maybe the internal users. Okay, let's look at Avery's profile. The internal user, the standard user. So let's look at that profile. Let me do a search. So yeah, so that means that the leads object is not available to external users because, hold on, sorry, because it's right here, but it's not here. It's not here. Okay, so let's try another one. Oh, let's confirm that the object is available on both of them. So let's try, what can we try? You can try campaigns. There's campaigns here, and I think I have too many windows open. Okay, this is system administrator. I can close this. And this campaign, there's no campaign here either. All right, campaigns won't be here, obviously, because this is not a partner user. You remember the partner user has access to all the sales objects. All right, so which one else can we use? This is so restrictive.
So accounts and contacts, right?
Accounts and I don't think the external user would have access to that either. You understand what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I thought you were on the external user here on this one. This is the internal?
This is the external.
Oh, this is the external. So
Yes.
it's showing that accounts they can have access to it because just like leads was missing, but accounts is there and they could read it,
Okay, they can read it. Okay, all right, let's try that.
right? And cases. that would be a good one because external users, if they open up a case with us, they should be able to see their case.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. The cases is a good one. Okay, let's do that one. All right, so let's do the same thing. Let's go to the nav menu and then add cases, Salesforce subject, case, publicly available, save. Okay, oops, have to move that as well. And save. Okay, publish. All right, so let's go back here. Let's refresh. All right. Oh, yeah, there it is. There we have it. All right, so our external user has access to the cases, but I was going to go back to the org to take a look at the sharing setting, the org-wide defaults. So you can see what it's set as default. So here, the internal user would have access to public read, write, transfer, and the external user is it's private. So let's see. Oops. So it's shown here. If we click on cases, what do we see? Um, all all closed cases, all open cases. So the external user can't see any case. So even though they can see the menu item, they can't see any case, and that's because it's set to private.
Can they create a case? The new button, will it work?
Let's see. Account type, none, reason, installation. Do we need to add any other information? No. Save. Okay, case origin, phone. They can create a case.
So they can create a case and in the case list only see the thing that's my cases, right? Because that would make sense.
If we go back here, is that what you mean?
Yeah. Yeah, if we go back there, there's a list, there's the option that says my cases.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense because they want to be able to make a case and see what cases they have.
Yes, so they can only access what they created.
Great.
Or what they own, or records that they own, which you can see here from this column here, which say case owner alias, and that's their name. Okay. Right. Okay, so let's try something else. So let's change this setting and give the external user the ability to public read and write. Case access must be set to private when the account access is set to private. The account object needs to be set first. So public read write, save. Okay. All right, let's go back to the site and refresh. Yeah, so I keep forgetting this person's name. I'm sorry. I need to open that. Just want to get the name. Ashley. So Ashley can see other cases that is outside the ones that she created. So that means that's what we set here just worked. So what we set here for the external access, public read, right, work. So we can see the read one. Let's check out the right part of it. So can Ashley edit the case? Let's see, contact name. Okay, maybe not that one. Okay, let's set priority to medium and save. And that worked. So priority has been changed to medium. So the external user has been granted the access to read and write. Okay. I think that's all I have for today. Does anybody have any questions? Neka? Is Neka here?
Yes, I'm here. Okay.
Not your own Neka.
Okay, I'm sorry.
The other Neka. I think she had a question for me the other day about gaining access with the password. Okay, well, if you happen to replay the video, Neka, I did some more research into that. The only way that would work is to use the login discovery feature, but then you'd have to set up the two-factor authentication, and yeah, but there has to be a user already in the there has to be a user already in the on the experience site. So you need to already have a user before you can use like a password or like no, not a password, like a phone number or an email address to gain access to the site. And then if I understand your question, it was around, okay, if you've created like a site on a developer org and you want to give people access to that, yeah, so you either give them login information to log in to see your site from the developer org, or you set up two-factor authentication. And to be honest, I'm not sure if that would work on the developer org. I am not sure. Needs to be checked. Okay. Any other questions before we call it a day? Well, thank you, Robert, for your assistance.
My pleasure. Thank you for teaching me the security stuff a lot better than anyone else has.
You're welcome. I'm happy it's useful. Okay, Neka is here.
Yeah, thank you so much, Oge. Like, just like Robert said, it's the first time I'm understanding this security thingy like this. Yeah, I
Awesome.
really enjoyed today's class. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so tomorrow we'll continue with the other topics under roles of visibility and sharing.